Hello everyone, my name is Sreenivass. My roll number is 2503020, the part of PGPBM 2527 batch. I'm here to talk about the jobless growth paradox, India's youth unemployment and skills mismatch. Why does India grow at 6 to 7% and yet still leave its younger people behind? As you all know, India is the world's fastest growing major economy, projected to grow at over 6% this year, and yet roughly 1 in 6 Indians who want to work cannot find work. How is this possible? In the next few minutes, I want to unpack what I call as India's jobless growth paradox. That is, the gap between our headline GDP numbers and the lived reality of our youth. Here, we'll be talking about the paradox in numbers. As we already mentioned, India is the fastest growing economy in the world, but it is the slowest in terms of growing jobs. Three numbers frame the problem. The first, 6.5%. That's India's projected real GDP growth for financial year 26, among the highest in the world. Second, 15.2%. That's the youth unemployment rate for those aged between 15 to 29, and the data collected is as of 31st March 2026. Third, about 12 million. That's how many young Indians enter the workforce every single year, and the formal economy only absorbs a fraction of them. So we have a paradox. That is, capital output and exports are all rising, but the unemployment elasticity of our growth has totally collapsed. We're adding GDP faster than we are adding decent jobs, and it is the young generation who bear the brunt of it. Here, we'll be talking about the trend. Youth joblessness is a reversing course. This chart tells the story of the last 12 months. Youth unemployment was around 13.8% in April 2025. However, it spiked to a cycle peak of 17.8% by September. It eased through the festive quarter and worryingly has now started climbing again, hitting 15.2% in March 2026. Two things to note. One, the recovery has stalled. Manufacturing PMI is at a 45-month low and services hiring has turned cautious. Number two is that there is a brutal gender gap. Young women face nearly 18% unemployment versus 14% for younger men. The labor market is not just weak, it is also structurally unequal. Now let's take a look at the root cause. Here is a crucial insight that the problem is not just the jobs problem, it is a skills problem. The Mercer Metal India Graduate Skills Index 2025, which assessed over a million students across 2,700 campuses, found that only 42.6% of Indian graduates are employable in top in demand jobs. That means nearly 6 out of 10 fresh graduates are not industry ready. Look at the chart on the right. The management graduates clocked 78% employability, engineering 71%, MCA 71%, science 58. But the average graduate sits at 42.6%. There is a massive gap between what universities are producing and what employers actually need. Companies have jobs, but graduates also have degrees. They two just don't meet together. Now, why does it matter? Why does this matter so urgently? It is because of the demographics. 65% of India's population is under 35. This is a one-time demographic dividend window that closes around 2041. History is instructive here. The East Asian tigers, as we like to call South Korea, Taiwan, China, all had similar demographic windows. They converted them into 30 plus years of 8% growth through manufacturing led skill intensive employment. If we don't do the same, India is the worst possible outcome. That is, we'll be growing old before we grow rich. As the donut chart shows, the dominant component of our employment is structural, that is, skills mismatch. It is not seasonal or frictional. So, this isn't a problem that the business cycle will evolve. Sorry, this isn't a problem that the next business cycle will solve. It needs deliberate policy. Here, let's take a look at the way forward. I see four levers, three horizons. That is short term, medium term, and long term. In short term, that is up to a period of 18 months. Now we need to fix the pipeline. Scale the national apprenticeship program from 0.7 million to 2.5 million per year, make 6-month industry internships mandatory for all undergraduate degrees, giving industry a real seat on the curriculum boards of top universities. When we talk about medium term, that is 2 to 5 years, we have to rewire incentives. Expand the PLI scheme to labor intensive sectors, textile, leather, food processing, toys, etc. We need to uh, give these incentives not just for semiconductors. We need to offer employment linked tax credits to MSMEs that are hiring first time workers and critically subsidize creche and transport for women workers. This one intervention alone could lift female labor workforce participation by several points. In the long term, we should be targeting for structural reform, operationalize the four labor codes uniformly across states, pursue land and contract reform to lift manufacturing shares of GDP back to 25%. Universe, Universal digital skills passport must be linked to Aadhaar and DigiLocker. Now that we have put the four levers across three horizons, what are the barriers that could come across or that could hinder this? Center and state coordination, the fiscal cost of subsidies, the political economy of land reform, and a weak quality control in skilling delivery. These are real, but they are navigatable with political will. In this slide, we see where the numbers have come from. There's references and data sources. A concluding thought, let me end up with this. India doesn't have an unemployment problem. It has an employability problem. The next decade will decide whether a demographic dividend becomes our biggest economic asset or our costliest missed opportunity. Thank you.